Part 3. Less happy than before. Chapter 1. This time around. I'm just as surprised as anyone else to be alive. Pain rocks my bones in a way I didn't think was possible. Looking back to when I cried over falling on my knees on my 9th birthday seems stupid now, completely laughable. That time I was jumped on the train for liking Collin is a pinch in the cheek compared to this last assault, this hate crime. It's not even the heartache from Thomas that's shutting me apart. Every mistake I've made, every wrong I've repeated, every unhealed heartache, I feel it all and more as the weight of my old world crushes me. If you looked inside me, I bet you'd find two different hearts beating for two different people, like the sun and moon up at the same time, a terrible eclipse I'm the only witness to. My worlds collided, and I can't get up. Undergoing the procedure was like a blackout. Leteo dealt the cards on how I woke up. Some of my memories were altered, little disguises, forced onto them to trick me. Others were beaten over the head with shovels, buried alive and out of my reach. But Leteo fucked up. Somewhere in the uncharted territories of my mind, they failed to scrub something clean, and I became the person I forgot. The goal was for me to forget I'm gay. Easier said than done, since there isn't exactly an off switch like my father thought there was. To beat nature, Leteo fostered the shortly-lived straight me by targeting and burying memories connected to my sexuality. My relationship with Collin, my dad's cruelty, my childhood crush on Brendan, etc. If I could simply believe I was straight, I would be straight. Life would be easy. But Leteo didn't have the power we both hoped they did. My eyes are too heavy to open. It's hard to breathe, like whenever Fat Dave pins me down. This headache feels like someone's playing a game of jacks inside my skull. Thoughts bounce around like a rubber ball. My face feels swollen. Maybe that's 'cause my friends beat me up because they hate me. Aaron, blink if you can hear me, I hear Dr. Castle call to me. Evangeline. I can't face her or anyone right now, so I keep my eyes shut and hide in the darkness where the awful pain drowns her out. I can't sleep anymore, no matter how hard I try. I can open one eye easily, but the other still feels too heavy and hurts, so I leave it alone. I see half of a midnight blue room I don't recognize, and it reminds me of a starless night. I turn my neck a little bit to see Evangeline asleep in a chair with a clipboard on her lap. It's hard to believe she sleeps. Maybe this visitor's chair is cozier than the one in her office. That one looks like it's made of concrete to prevent her from getting too comfortable. Next to her is my mother, sitting forward with her face in her hands, praying. Mom. I can barely breathe her name without my throat aching, but she hears me anyway. Evangeline too. She snaps awake like her boss caught her sleeping at her desk. Oh, baby, my son. Mom kisses my forehead and it hurts like hell. She's apologizing to me and thanking God I'm okay, until Evangeline pulls her to the side, giving me some much-needed space. You're stable, Erin, Evangeline tells me. Try not to move too much. She invites my mother to give me water through a straw. She presses an ice pack wrapped in a hand towel against my bad eye and forehead. I imagine your head hurts, but we are all so impressed with how you're recovering. So impressed, my son, Mom adds. I sip more water and it soothes and stings. Why am I not in a hospital? You were originally, but your mother contacted me when she heard you screaming things you'd forgotten, Evangeline says, and it hurts my neck to look up at her. The ambulance drove you here, and we've spent the past 4 days returning your mind to its former state before it could collapse entirely under the weight of the unwound memories. We'll perform some test work when you're feeling up to it to make sure all is well. 4 days. I've been knocked out for 4 days. I feel like I know everything I once knew, but I can't be sure. I remember believing Evangeline was my old babysitter, as sure as I know Santeria is stupid or how I'm an asshole and a coward. Did you change anything? Certainly not, kiddo. Too many complications. My mind is once again busy with terrible things. My father's body, his hateful words, Collin turning his back on me, Collin's kisses, Eric giving me shit for dumb things, the judging looks of the other guys on the block, and, the most pressing, my mom and one of our last moments together before my procedure. The memory of coming out to her for the first time feels both familiar and unfamiliar. Like an old bully you haven't seen in years, but still kind of recognize, even all grown up. I know she knows, so I just shut up and focus on what needs to happen next. When can you change me back? I ask, my throat aching less and less. Make me straight again, for real this time. Evangeline doesn't answer. Mom cracks the silence with fresh tears. My voice hardens. Your procedure didn't work, and we paid a shitload of money for it to work, so you need to make it work. The procedure cannot be faulted, for the heart remembering what the mind forgot, Evangeline says. Bullshit, I say. I warned you that this procedure was still very experimental, remember? Yeah, I remember, that's the problem. I turn to my mom, who shakes her head. No. I'm not signing off on this. Not again. I have my son back, and I'm not giving you up again. I wish I could have just been exercised or spent the summer at conversion camp or something. Can you both leave? I want to be alone. I can maybe give you 5 minutes to yourself, Evangeline offers, but anything longer isn't allowed with all things considered, I'm afraid. Fine, 5 minutes. Evangeline hooks my mom's arm in hers, escorting her out. I have to piss, and I'm not doing it in one of these bag things, so I rip off the wires from my forehead and chest and try steadying myself on my feet. I'm dizzy. It feels like the awful combination of a head rush and a hangover. I balance myself against the wall and make my way to the bathroom. I piss myself when I look in the mirror. I have one black eye, my other eye swollen and purple like a bruised plum. There are stitched up gashes on my forehead with some dried blood the nurses didn't wipe clean. My lip is cut open. There are tears sliding down my face. Something primal explodes from my aching throat, and the mirror smashes when my fist connects. Glass shards were pinching underneath my skin until the nurses pulled them out and bandaged my hand. Another war wound. Now, they all refuse to leave me alone, period, scared I might slice a smile into my throat if I can't get what I want. Mom is keeping me company, telling me that Eric was here this morning, but he's not who I care about. Any other visitors? Genevieve and Thomas have stopped by every day, Mom says. Genevieve was here late last night, and Thomas hung around for a few hours this morning. You have great friends. I stare at the blue wall. Genevieve says you broke up with her. I guess this means you're not disappointed in me this time around. She's crying again and hides behind her hands. You weren't supposed to remember. But I do, and I need her to help me forget again. Chapter 2, Tough Stuff. I wake up from the same nightmare I usually had after my father killed himself. It's the one where he is getting completely undressed in the bathroom while calling me a faggot and telling me how I'm not worth living for. He turns on the bathwater and relaxes inside the tub before cutting his wrists. And then, I'm drowning in red. I never wake up when the drowning starts like you would expect. I'm always suffocating for what seems like an unfair amount of time, considering I never chose to commit the crime he hated me for. I never chose anything. I just was. I just am. Nightmares again? Mom asks. I nod. I eat breakfast, chat with doctors about how I'm feeling, like shit, and read through all of Brendan's apologetic text messages. I don't respond. A couple hours later, Evangeline tells me I have guests, Thomas and Genevieve. Together. More worlds I don't want colliding. My mom invites them in and leaves us alone. I should be happy to see them, and they should be happy to see me alive, but no one's smiling. You look better, Thomas finally says. He has dark circles under his eyes. He isn't looking his best either. If this were my first time meeting him, I'd have guessed he was 22 years old, not 17. No homo, he adds while completely avoiding my face. That's not funny, sorry. It's okay, I say. Then silence, except for Genevieve rapping her knuckles on my bed frame. Thanks for visiting. Thanks for waking up, Thomas says, still not looking at me. At least he's here. I don't know if word got around to Collin, and I'm not sure if he would give a shit if it did. I wish I didn't give a shit about him either, even if the person I really care about is standing right in front of me. I don't know if that's even right. This whole situation is impossible. Meat Crazy was arrested, Genevieve says. Baby Freddy's mother told Elsie he's being moved to a juvenile detention center upstate. Good. Thomas palms his fist. I wanted to snuff Brendan when he was let out of jail like you taught me, but I haven't seen it. They must all be grounded. Doubtful. Don't worry about it, I say, hoping to clock Brendan in the chin myself. It's quiet again. I can only assume that they've been chatting it up with each other, and I both hope they weren't talking about me and also that they were. If they weren't talking about me, it wouldn't make sense, because they only know each other through me, and without me, they're nothing to each other. But if they were talking about me, I hope Genevieve wasn't telling Thomas everything about what led me to Leteo, everything that, I couldn't remember to confess to him myself. Those are my stories, not hers. And I hope Thomas wasn't telling her about that time I kissed him and he didn't kiss me back. Can I catch up with you in a few, Genevieve? She looks at me like I just punched her in the face and kicked her while she was down. I'll be outside, she tells Thomas, not me, and punches his arm. I'm dizzy again. The door practically slams behind her, and there's a ringing in my ears. He paces back and forth, and it hurts my neck, but I keep my eyes on him. I say, So, what's new? Heart stuff and insanity, Thomas says. I feel something awful rising inside of me. He better not be talking about Genevieve. I've been giving thought to my life chart and overheard something on the radio about love addiction. It's a real thing. People who are in love with love. I think I'm a love addict. It explains why I always pull away from a girl when I'm not in that honeymoon phase anymore, and start searching for someone new. It's a cruel cycle, Stretch. That's where your mind has been while I was laid out here? It's quiet, except for the sound of my heart monitor beeping. I don't know what you want me to say, Thomas finally replies. Okay, I know exactly what you want me to say, but those aren't words I can tell you. I'm not even 100% sure who I'm talking to right now. The Stretch you're talking to is a guy who didn't want to like other guys, so he tried changing that, I say. Let me get this straight, Thomas says. Leteo made you forget you were gay? Yeah. You thought I told you my story before? Hell, I even thought I told you everything there is to know, but you have no idea what I've been through. Thomas sits down, his head hung low. So who are you? I don't know. I'm sort of two people who want very different things, but even with all this confusion, I'm still pretty sure who you are, and it kills me that you're not. He almost looks at me, but his head drops again. I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should be apologizing for something or going back to your block to fight those guys, or if I should just stay here and figure out who you are, or if you're better off without me being around. I just don't know. What do you want? You, I say, and I actually say it, because I want him in the same way I wanted Genevieve when I was straight, and the same way I wanted Collin months ago. Except I need him more than the others. And if that's something you're not ready for, I think I need a little space to try and forget these feelings. Okay. Thomas stands and gives my resting hand a fist bump. He looks at me, finally, and I know I'm punishing him just as much as I'm punishing myself. I wasn't just self-diagnosing myself while you were laid out. I was distracting myself however I could because thinking of you never waking up and being okay was fucking killing me. I missed you, and I hope that's okay to say. Then he leaves, and I feel like the biggest idiot in the universe. Chapter 3, Dead End. When Genevieve comes in, she sits down on the bed and holds my hand like we didn't break up the last time we saw each other. She asks me how I'm feeling. I tell her I'm okay when I'm really still struggling with Thomas walking out of my life, but it seems like too much to share with her. Do you like the blue walls? She asks. I suggested a room this color might relax you when you woke up. Of course she did. I hold my aching arms up and she hugs me, resting her face against mine. Remember that time I sort of told you that I liked guys and we were going to live happily ever after? And remember the time before that where I was the worst person ever and used you? Genevieve sits up and shushes me. No, stop. You were confused and had every right to be nervous. This moment here proves that. She lowers her head. As for me, I should have pulled myself away. Even when I knew you were only mine because Leteo crossed your wires, I stayed with you. Wrong move. I'm sorry we broke up. She cries a little. You're not for me to love, Aaron. It was a dead end, and I kept trying to go forward. And we crashed because of me. Can you be real with me about something? You never told Thomas why I got the procedure, right? I thought maybe you told him yourself. I even thought the procedure started unwinding while I was in New Orleans because you two were so close when I got back. But later, I realized he knew nothing. I would never tell your secrets, Aaron, even the ones I know you're hiding from me. I not only screwed her over, I never deserved her. So, you don't hate me? Of course I don't hate you, but as your friend, I have to be real with you about something else. It's about Thomas. Genevieve pauses, and the heart monitor's beeping elevates for a few seconds. I'm worried you're gonna wait for him the way I was waiting for you. I think the sooner you realize he can't like you, the happier you'll be. Wait, do you think he likes you or something? I already said no. Why are you repeating yourself? Genevieve tilts her head, looking at me funny. Are you okay? She reaches across and grips my shoulder. I'm struck with flashbacks of all the times Thomas steered me somewhere from behind, and all the times Collin and I would bump into each other on purpose. Aaron, should I get Evangeline or someone? She's tearing up. No, I'm fine. I zoned out, I say, feeling a little short of breath. Look, trust me, Thomas isn't straight. I know him. No one really knows who Thomas is, Genevieve says. I know she's not being haughty about it, but I don't like how matter-of-fact she is about someone no one knows better than I do. Jen, you're the one who falls for guys who won't like you back, not me. Whoa. Genevieve stands up, and I swear she's about to punch me. Just so you know, you apologized for the wrong thing, Aaron. I understood why you dated me, and I let it happen even though I shouldn't have, but that doesn't make it okay that you were seeing scratch out Collin behind my back. You made me feel like no one. You don't get to keep ignoring the past because you don't like it. My breaths are quick and uneven. My temper rises. You're right. I'm sorry I'm not straight. I'm sorry I went after someone I could feel real emotions over. I'm sorry I needed to hide so strangers wouldn't try and beat me to death. I'm sorry my dad killed himself because of me. And I'm sorry my past is so terrible I couldn't live in it anymore. But forget the past, okay? Forget our past. Genevieve doesn't cry or flip me off or punch me. She just turns around and walks to the door. Her arm shakes as she holds the doorknob. She looks at the blue walls that she personally requested for me and says, You forget that I cried with you when all those bad things happened. And I think she has more she wants to say, but she finds the strength to turn the doorknob and leaves. Once the door closes, I'm hit with this fear that I may never see her again. Chapter 4, Psych Me Out. I'm about to have my psych session with Evangeline. It's been a while. The first time I came into this office, I didn't actually think a memory alteration procedure was possible. Even after I met Evangeline, I was sure she was going to turn me away because I was this kid who didn't even know what to ask of Leteo. I definitely wanted to forget finding my father in the bathtub, but the more she and I chatted, the more I pieced together that my problems ran much deeper. It all came together like connect the dots, revealing a boy who understood the impossible things ahead of him. Months later, I'm back in this office, with its white walls, a tablet on a sleek desk, certificates I never bothered to read carefully enough, and my blueprint architect waiting for me to share why I need the procedure again. Evangeline put on a good show for sure. I never suspected she was a Leteo specialist. The only people in my life who knew about her were my mom, Eric, and Genevieve. Brendan and the other guys on the block didn't remember me having a babysitter as a kid, but never questioned it beyond family day. Who would think to suspect someone manipulated my memories to get close to me? It's just clicking now, but it was no coincidence when Mom sent me to the post office that day at the same time Evangeline was there. And when Evangeline accompanied me to Leteo and ran off to speak to that woman from Hunter College's Department of Philosophy, it was like probably some coworker or patient. I even remember that Hannah chick at the info counter now. Hopefully this show comes with an encore of the forgettable variety. Evangeline tries to warm me up with small talk, no doubt to gauge what kind of mood I'm in. So I just tell her, I'm feeling 100 things right now. Betrayed, disappointed, guilty, desperate. You need me to go on? You only listed 4 things. Hit me with the other 96. Regret, love, pissed off, grief. Just trust me, there's more. I believe you, kiddo. I crack my knuckles, one finger at a time, and tug at my sleeve afterward. You can make me better. She shakes her head. It's not up to me to sign off on the procedure, but let's review what happened the past few months. We gave you a glimpse into what your life would look like if you were straight. Your true nature burst through our seams. I can't elaborate much further than this, but many of our other clients who have undergone similar work remain as we left them. Is being gay really at fault here? I know the answer, but I stay quiet. I need the noise in my head to get loud again to drown out all the memories of rejection and heartache. So much has been left behind because of Leteo's screw-up, and she wants me to tell her how happy I was so she feels better? No, I won't do that. No, I wasn't happy. I mean, sure, I thought I was, but I found happiness in the wrong person, and that does not count. It didn't count with Collin, and it didn't count with Genevieve, and it doesn't count with Thomas. I won't survive this, I say. You all understood how hard this was for me the first time, but now I'm carrying extra weight. How is that not clicking with anyone? As I said, kiddo, this isn't up to me. I agree that the memories you're carrying around are painful, especially for someone your age with your history. Her eyes fall on my smiling scar. The day we were here together, Hannah scheduled you for an appointment on the 12th of August. It was for a consultation, but if your mother signs off on your procedure, we'll take care of you. She goes on about how she couldn't talk me out of it the first time, but I tune her out. August 12th, 2 days before my birthday. I'll try to make it that long. Chapter 5, Winding Back the Clock. I have to see him. All my memories are so warped right now. I'm pushing my father's suicide out of my head as best as possible because it hurts too much with everything else I'm suffering. I want to turn back the clock, back to the days where being who I am didn't get me thrown through glass doors, back to the days where he and I ran around laughing, back to the days where there was a chance of happiness despite our circumstances. It's against my better instinct, but I reach for my phone and I dial his number like I never forgot it. I press call and I don't expect him to pick up. You're okay, he says. I've been cooler, Collin. Chapter 6, once more. I'm forgetting about Thomas and Genevieve without any help from Leteo. Talking with Collin has made recovery pretty easy these past 3 days. There's been zero reminiscing or any shit like that over the phone. We're trying to keep everything cool and not gay between us, I guess. We talk about meaningless things like movies we've seen. He also hated The Final Chase. And how I need to catch up on the Dark Alternates because the last issue comes out this month and the storyline has gone crazy. The biggest taboo of all is his pregnant girlfriend. He never even hints at her. I'm finally being released from Leteo today. Evangeline thinks I should stay for another couple of days as they run more tests, but I will hang myself with an IV if I have to spend another hour in this room. Not really. I promise to let her know if I have any dizzy spells, cases of vomiting, or the attention span of a goldfish. The only time I speak to Mom on the way home is to ask if Mohad is firing me for missing work on account of getting my ass beat. But she's already been in contact with him, and he's not. I have that going for me. I'm a little on edge when we arrive on our block. Brendan, Skinny Dave, and Nolan better not come at me again. Mom holds onto my arm, squeezing, and I bet she's nervous too. I see Baby Freddy and Fat Dave playing catch by the trash cans, and Baby Freddy drops the ball when he sees me and runs over. No! Mom screams, guarding me with her body. Stay away from my son, or I swear I will have you all thrown in jail! Baby Freddy backs up a little. He looks straight up embarrassed. I just want to see if he's okay. I'm sorry they did that, Aaron. It was messed up. He leaves before my mom can threaten him again. I swallow a deep and sharp breath when we get to our lobby entrance. I used to run through those doors as a kid when we played tag, and manhunt later as a teenager. I would race to hold the doors open for our neighbors, and they would tell my mom she raised such a well-mannered little boy. Now there's nothing but a door frame, and a little girl jumping back and forth over it, like someone wasn't almost killed here. Next thing I know, I'm riding up the elevator with Mom. Once she crashes onto her own bed for the first time in a week, I change into different clothes and sneak out to meet Collin. I get to Java Jack's, this rundown diner in 142nd Street, in no time. Without thinking, I settle into the booth by the window. Collin and I always opted for whenever we came here together. It's a prime spot for people watching or mocking. Collin used to hate coffee, but I'm betting now he thinks drinking coffee proves you're a man or something. It's pretty dumb, but I know he struggles with this side of himself way more than I ever have in both of my lives, so I won't call him out on it. I'll also keep everything about our history airtight so we don't tip anyone off. I stop the waiter. Can I bother you for another coffee? Be back in a moment, he says. The door opens and I shoot up. It's not Collin. It's just some guy in baggy clothes and long surfer hair. If I had the power to snap my fingers and change him, I'm not convinced I would have dressed him in a basketball jersey or made him taller with Collin's golden curls. Maybe I would have transformed him into Thomas. Watching his skin turn a shade darker than the weak coffee this place serves, his regular boring eyebrows would have grown into the thicker eyebrows I had no business touching before I kissed him. I just don't know. Snap, snap. Oh, There's a hand snapping a few inches from my nose. You cool? Collin sits down across from me like we've spent no time apart. You certainly don't look it. My swollen eye is less swollen, but it's still pretty much an eyesore everyone can't help but stare at when I'm just walking down the street. Yeah, I ran into a lot of wrong fists. How'd you find out? Genevieve told a friend who told a friend who told Nicole, Collin says. What else is new? He picks up the menu as if he doesn't always order the same thing. Omelet with a side of hash browns. And it's a good tactic. I'll give him that. Focus on what's new and what's next instead of what brought him here. Hey, can I get some coffee over here? Make that 2. Why do you need 2? Collin asks. I downed mine already. Collin points at the steaming mug in front of me. I could have sworn I drank mine already, especially because of how badly I have to pee now. Maybe the waiter refilled it while I was lost in my head? The waiter looks confused too, and a little annoyed as he brings 2 steaming cups. What the? You still haven't finished the second cup. No, sorry about that. Great, I'll just make another batch for the next time you want to waste some more. Collin pours sugar into his coffee and tells the waiter, Don't be a dick, Dick. The waiter curses under his breath and leaves. Collin always used to tell off the asshole waiters who never hang around Java Jacks longer than a month. It started a game where I would draw something crude on the bill to make him laugh. Becoming that person again would be cold and distant, but safe. So, you were about to tell me what's new with you, Collin says. Nothing, besides getting thrown through doors. He stares at his coffee. Where was Genevieve when all this went down? I kinda quit her. I lock eyes with him when he looks up. What's going on with you and Nicole? How's your pregnancy coming along? Collin covers his mouth, coffee dribbling down his chin. She's about to enter her 3rd trimester. Boy or girl? He takes a second to answer. Boy. Now would be a good time to have a fully functioning crystal ball so I could divine whether or not Collin is going to be a good father to his little boy. I don't just mean whether or not he'll take his son out to play and feed him spoonfuls of medicine when he's sick, but if, Collin will let his son listen to songs sung by women and let him date a dude if it made him happy. Congratulations, I say. I know you don't mean it. No, I think it's cool, I lie. That sucks about you and Genevieve. I know you don't mean it, I parrot with a grin. Then we just look at each other, the same way we did during school when we passed each other in the halls. Wanna get out of here? Let's get the check, I say. And the waiter's pen, he adds. We're going to Comic Book Asylum, laughing as we throw the waiter's pen at each other, overdramatic like gladiators hurling spears. After we started hanging out last year, we would go to the comic shop when it was too cold out to do anything else. It didn't matter to me as long as we were chilling. We'd spend hours sitting in the aisles, as close to each other as possible, checking out what we wanted to read but were positive we didn't want to buy. Man, I spent so much time at Comic Book Asylum that Genevieve brought me there for trade dates. Then again, she also created trade dates because there was a strain in our relationship, also because of Collin. He always surprised me whenever he brought up things that weren't related to comics and fantasy books. One afternoon, I thought we were about to leave the shop, but he pulled me back down to the floor beside him. I was both nervous and hopeful he was going to kiss me, but instead, he said he was done caring about what others thought of how he lived. That sentiment didn't survive any longer than a shadow basilisk did against a black sun phoenix, but in the moment, it made me happy to believe it. And then I lost him and his conversations and touches, and I couldn't fill that hole. So, forgetting the hole was even there turned out to be the next best, saddest thing. But I have him back now, I think. Stan is by the door, doing a poor job installing a Captain America gumball machine. He smiles at us. You two done fighting? Collin is looking at me funny, sort of like that time I echoed the ending to his bad haircut story because he'd forgotten he told me already. I paid attention, made him feel worth it, and I promised I always would. We're good, he answers for us. He leads me to the graphic novel section. What was that about? I came in here a few times without you, and Stan kept asking me where the Robin to my Batman was. That's bullshit. I'm totally Batman. Collin snickers. For a while, I made excuses, said you were sick or working, but eventually I accepted we probably wouldn't ever talk again. It sucked, but it made sense with how I ditched you. He trails a finger across the spines of graphic novels and says, I gotta ask you something. Shoot. When you saw me here and were being extra nice and fake, were you doing it to impress that guy who you were with? Was he your boyfriend? I completely forgot that happened on account of having forgotten my relationship with Collin. 2 worlds, 10 feet from each other, and Collin was the only one who knew, the only one who was affected by it. He was never my boyfriend, and you were barely anyone to me. I went through the Leteo procedure and forgot my time with you. Sure you did, Collin says. He doesn't believe me. Why would he? But I told him. We sit against a bookcase, our elbows touching. We're both reading the same graphic novel about zombies invading a heavily guarded garbage dump where they find their master's decapitated head. Not really sure what the zombies plan on doing with the head if they manage to retrieve it, but we lose interest anyway. Remember a spot behind the fence? He says out of nowhere. It's not a game of remember that time. Oh, it's been a while, I say. Want to go? I close the graphic novel. We tell Stan we'll see him later, and I wonder if he knows about Collin and me. As long as he's not outing us, it doesn't matter. We head to our spot between the meat market and flower shop. I steer Collin toward the fence from behind, but he shrugs me off, and I don't give him any shit for it, even though there's not a single gay-hating soul in sight. The smell of dead cow is way more pungent than the flowers this evening. There's a sign that reads, Community Service Gathering on Friday, August 16th. Who the hell knows what that entails? But it's pretty awesome to find our graffiti still on the wall. We crawl through the open spot in the fence into the side where history is pulsating with memories of our first time, our second time, third time, you got it. Collin scans the area for any wanderers or birds with cameras on their heads before coming back to undo my belt buckle. It's so dark someone could murder us and get away with it, which we prefer. The darkness, not the murder part. I pull him into a rough kiss, and I don't doubt that whenever he's kissing Nicole, he's pretending she's some other guy, maybe even me. And as I kiss him now, I pretend he's someone else, and it's just so fucking sad. He hands me a condom, and I rip open the wrapper with my teeth.